We play and call it work.
Hey folks, Janene from MiniWarGaming here with another how-to video for you. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to paint bone on these large skulls of this Imperial Warhound Titan's guns. There's also one of these skulls on the armor section in between his legs, but we're going to do it the exact same way. As always, if there's something you'd like to see in future how-to videos, leave it down below. Our first color is going to be Gothar Brown. We're going to mix it with a little bit of Lamian Medium. This is just going to thin it down a little bit and make it easier to apply to the model, and it's also going to slow the drying time a little bit. We're going to be applying this as an all-over layer, and I really want to make sure that I get into all of the nooks and crannies of the skull. Right now it's been airbrushed red, so inside the eye sockets and all around all of the edges are going to be that red. And we do not want it to be red. We want it to stand out and to be bone. So we're going to make sure that we get all of the nooks and crannies, turning the model around to make it easier to get to all of the sides, so we can get a nice clean base coat on these skulls. After the Gothar Brown, we're going to start highlighting, and our next color is going to be XV88. I'm going to take a little bit of this out of the pot and apply it to my palette, but I'm not going to water it down because I'm going to be doing this next step as a dry brushing step. I'm going to use a small dry brush. I'm going to run my finger through it just to make sure that there's nothing caught in the bristles. I want this to go on smoothly and evenly, so I just need to make sure that all of the bristles are nice and soft. Now you'll notice for these next two highlighting steps, I'm using browns that have a lot of yellow in them. The reason I'm doing that is because I used a lot of cream when I did the stripes on this Titan. So I want to make sure that the colors I use for the bone are different. Now I'm just doing a very soft dry brush. I'm building up the color very slowly. I want to make sure that I get the areas that would be highlighted, like the top of the skull and the cheekbones, and then the front tooth section. Next we're going to use Zamri Desert, and we're also going to be dry brushing this. So I'm going to put a little bit on my palette, and I'm just going to do a quick dry brush to build up the color a little bit. Oh, that's got a little bit too much on there, so I'm going to wipe more off and slowly build up the color. Again, moving the model around to make sure that I can get the best angle. And then I'm also going to pinch my dry brush and kind of create a quick flat brush so that I can get a little bit better detail right towards the top without slopping over onto the red. I wouldn't recommend doing this with your nice brushes, but with your dry brushes, I kind of beat mine up a little bit, so. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take some Lamian Medium and we're going to mix it into the Zamri Desert that we already have on our palette. We're going to use this to create an additional highlight. So we dry brushed the model originally to just start building up the color. And now we're just going to traditionally paint it on, and you'll see that it's going to be a lot brighter than when we dry brushed. That dry brushing step was very translucent and let a lot of the colors underneath show through. By using this wet brush, we're going to add another layer of the color and really build up that deserty yellow. So we want to make sure that we concentrate this in the areas that are going to be highlighted. So we're going to catch the top of the skull, the cheekbones, and that very front tooth section under the nose. Next, we're going to add a highlight of Ushapt T-bone, which isn't the easiest word to say. We're going to put some on our palette and mix it with a little bit of Lamian Medium to make sure that we have a nice workable texture for our wet brush. And then I'm just going to use my detail brush to start adding more highlights. I'm also going to add a dab of clean water to my palette in case my brush gets thirsty. I've noticed, especially when I switch to my detail brush, that sometimes I'll be painting and then the paint won't flow very smoothly, and it's just because things are drying out inside the bristle. So if I just dip my brush into the water when that happens, the bristles will absorb the water and keep all of the paint wet. Now I'm just going to concentrate this highlight in the areas where the light would be hitting. This is a Forge World skull, so it has a lot of really great sculpted detail. So there's a little ridge that goes from the eye socket up to the top of the head. I'm going to pick that out. There's another ridge a little bit closer towards the middle. I want to make sure that I highlight the top of the skull. And then the front of the teeth have a lot of great sculpted detail that I'm going to try and pick out too. Now this is a process that requires lots of little small layers. I paint one area, I move on to another area, let the first dry. And then I also still have this Zamri Desert on my palette, and you can see that I can use that to paint over some of the sections and blend the two together by doing some quick wet blending. And it's just a matter of pushing and pulling the colors back and forth until I have a level of highlight that I'm happy with. We're going to do a final highlight with Ceramite White. Go ahead and mix this with some Lamian Medium, and then we are just going to catch the very top of the skull, the very top of the eye sockets, the very edge of the cheekbones, and we're also going to catch the teeth. This is another highlight that we're going to go back and grab some Ushabti bone off of our palette and blend the transition a little bit by having both paints in our brush. And we're just going to push and pull both colors around until everything's smooth and as bright as we'd like it to be. Alright, here you can see the skull completed on the plasma gun. The next step is going to be to go through and to create the blue glow on these plasma coils. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos, I have another how-to video where I show you how to add brass to the smaller skulls on this Titan in the MiniWarGaming Vault, and the link down below in the description. If you don't already have a Vault membership, go ahead and click the link. You can get a 7-day free trial and get access to all of my how-to videos, as well as hundreds of other videos in the MiniWarGaming Vault. So go ahead, click the link, start your free trial, and happy wargaming!